Hi, my name's Jodie, and this is my video essay exploring the target audience of Netflix's Sex Education. Netflix series Sex Education revolves around protagonist Otis, who despite his virgin status is highly educated on the subject of sex and surrounding topics, after being raised by his mother Jean, who is a sex therapist. With the help of his intelligent yet rebellious friend and secret love interest Maeve, the two start up an underground sex therapy clinic at their high school. After the first episode of Sex Education was released in 2019, it did not take long for the series to be coined one of Netflix's most successful original series, scoring an outstanding 94% average tomato meter rating and a 94% average audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. According to Netflix, prior to the show's premiere, the teen comedy was on track to be viewed by 40 million subscribers, at which it succeeded. The immensely diverse audience was partly to thank for its colossal viewership, though this was not the creator's original intent. Executive producer Jamie Campbell said, "We didn't have any idea that people would respond to the show in this way, and particularly that the breadth of the audience would be as it is," referring to the varied and unspecific audience that the show has attracted. This video essay offers scope for further research, as there are many more relevant points to raise in addition to those investigated in the essay. I will be exploring the target audience for Sex Education, analysing its stylistic choices, as well as its characters and their narratives, and how they have expanded its diverse audience. Style. British viewers have questioned the stylistic choices of Netflix's Sex Education, pointing out its American high school aesthetic, contrasting with the British characters, humour and location. But writers and director of the show insist that this was a deliberate choice to expand the breadth of the audience, both across the UK and the USA. The world that the fictional Moordale High students live in exists in an undefined land, where the students with English accents wear varsity jackets and mingle outside of yellow lockers, wearing no uniforms and playing American sports in their free time. The outfits have an 80s style, house interiors have a 70s design, but characters can be seen using iPhones and discussing modern subjects such as social media. The show is timeless and placeless. Creators have said that the transatlantic following was more of a happy coincidence than anything, as they purely felt that the jumbled aesthetic best suited the humour and story that they wished to tell. Many of the characters in the series resemble those found in American 80s movies such as Grease and The Breakfast Club. Aside from its intentional design to give the show more international appeal, Sex Education writer Laurie Nunn and series director Ben Taylor have stated that the blend was also a creative callback, saying it's definitely set in Britain, but we've made a very conscious choice to have that American throwback nostalgia John Hughes feel to it, says Nunn. John Hughes directed The Breakfast Club, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, 16 Candles and Pretty in Pink, all teen dramas that were made with a very specific teen audience in mind. This being said, the age demographic of Sex Education's audience is not that simple. When asked about the blend of American and British as well as 70s/80s but modern conventions, Gillian Anderson, who plays Jean Milburn, said, "The rules are shifting all the time in terms of how an audience receives the shows," adding, "I think Netflix feels quite strongly that they've hit on something with this amalgamation. This may be due to the combination sparking global popularity with viewers in the USA, experiencing a sense of familiarity around the recognisable characters and other American conventions, and British viewers connecting with the humour and lush green British countryside. It has also been said to be designed to create a sense of timelessness and irrelevance to place, as the issues covered in the show can be applied to anyone and everyone at any time." Age. The 80s aesthetic and soundtrack adds a nostalgic element to the show, which has come to appeal to an older audience as well as a teen audience. This tactic has been seen in other Netflix series such as Stranger Things, where creators Ross and Matt Duffer successfully created a homage to the pop culture of that decade in order to diversify their audience by creating nostalgia in their older viewers whilst also channeling into the restored love for 80s fashion, art and music within the younger age demographic. This fashion recall coincides with Lava's Law, conceived by a fashion theorist by the name of James Lava in 1937. Lava created a table that stated the cycle of fashion change and how they come back around. This further raises the question of what specific age demographic the show intended to target. The show's casting director, Lauren Evans, said cast diversity was critical. It was hugely important to find an eclectic ensemble that was representative so everyone could see themselves on screen. This stretched further than race, gender and sexuality, which the show was highly lionised for, but also covered age despite it being a high school teen drama. Executive producer Jamie Campbell says Sex Education attracts an audience that is very youthful and an audience that is very senile, and lots of people in between. People think it has something very contemporary to say, which can appeal both to very young and old people. We can see this in characters such as Jean Milburn and Adam Groff's mother, Maureen Groff, as well as other parent figures such as Eric's father and his journey to coming to terms with his son's homosexuality. In a teen drama, it is uncommon for the show to encompass the perspective of the parents and the challenges they often encounter when educating their children on uncomfortable subjects such as sex. The portrayal of Gillian Anderson's character Jean invites an older audience who can relate to her character both as a parent and then as a partner. Her new relationship with Jakob presents challenges of its own own, covering the struggles that are often conjured up in new relationships later in life, such as having to adjust to someone else's ways of living in your space, and introducing them to your children. Jean speaks to older women, specifically representing her age group, in a way that depicts them as strong, independent, fun, and desirable.
Otis, it's perfectly normal for a younger man to be sexually attracted to a mature woman. In fact, when you stigmatise his choice, then you feed into an unhealthy narrative on masculinity in middle age.
In contrast is Maureen Groff, a woman who represents those who have become passive and numb in a sexless marriage. Jean counsels her and all men and women watching who can relate to the character and her husband. Another important element to discuss on target audience is the rating of the show. In 2020, Radio Times published an article titled "Sex Education is Smart Perfect Viewing for Teenagers. So why is it rated 18? It seemed a bizarre choice to deem it unsuitable for the very age group whose experiences were being represented in the show. In the final episode of the second season of Sex Education, Mr. Groff interrupts the school production and angrily lambasts the schools, pupils and parents for entertaining the sexual nature of the performance, shouting, "You're enjoying this filth," before aiming his rage towards Jean Milburn, exclaiming, "You have all been corrupted by this woman. She's giving sex advice to your kids, filling their heads with dangerous nonsense." As the viewers, we're all meant to mock Mr. Groff, knowing that the candid and beneficial Sex Education has in fact improved the health and stability of many of the students, providing them with the knowledge needed to engage in sexual activity safely. But the rating seems to contradict this message, and more so agrees with Mr. Groff. The show covers the topics involved in a professional, educational and empathetic manner, so the rating seems nonsensical to say the least. It can also be uncomfortable to educate children on certain sex-orientated subjects, so for parents it may be a welcomed relief to hand the responsibility over to shows like this one. In conclusion, I feel that Netflix show Sex Education has a deliberately undetermined target audience in order to invite a broad variety of viewers to accentuate the message that no matter how young or old you are, or what your sexuality, race or gender, everyone experiences some level of confusion around sex or related topics. It also highlights the absence of efficient sex education in the schooling system still today, and the desperate importance of addressing this. Whilst educating young viewers on the common and natural issues that their age group may be experiencing, it also educates young viewers that adults are not exempt from struggles surrounding sex and relationships. The show is essentially a melting pot of ingredients from multiple areas put into one to represent something for everyone. It is evident within the characters and the topics that the show covers that there is no specific group of people that they wish to target, which is also shown through the mismatched, timeless style. This is a message that I feel they try to communicate throughout, being that in sex education, inclusion should be incorporated more into the curriculum. Thank you for watching.